Picture this. You walk into the gym. All around you, men are lifting heavy weights, their bodies sculpted, their muscles defined under the fluorescent lights. You glance at yourself in the mirror, and instead of feeling motivated, what rises in your chest is a sharp sting of shame. Maybe your arms aren't big enough. Maybe your stomach isn't flat enough. Maybe you don't look like the endless stream of ideal male bodies you scroll past online every day. Have you ever felt that weight pressing down on you? The weight of not being enough? If you have, you're not alone. Surveys show nearly half of men in the UK admit they've struggled with body image, and only a quarter say they're truly satisfied with how they look. Almost 30% say they feel anxious about their shape, worried they're too soft, too small, too heavy, or simply not good enough. For some, the pressure becomes unbearable. 1 in 10 men has seriously considered ending his life because of shame tied to his appearance. These are not abstract numbers. These are fathers, husbands, colleagues, friends, men who carry their doubt quietly. Behind forced smiles and casual jokes, this crisis of confidence is one of the hidden struggles of our time. We talk often about women and body image, and rightly so, but the conversation about men lags far behind. Social media feeds us a relentless diet of flawless physics, influencers pushing supplements and steroids, actors with entire teams shaping their diet and lighting. And every time you scroll, that little voice in your head whispers, you don't measure up. But here's the question. What if you could silence that voice? What if you could build a kind of confidence no mirror could take away? What if the foundation of your self-worth had nothing to do with the number on a scale or the reflection staring back at you? That's where Stoicism comes in. This ancient philosophy, born in the bustling markets of Athens and refined in the courts of Rome, has more to say about our modern crisis of self-confidence than you might think. The Stoics lived in a world obsessed with image, status, and appearances. Yet they discovered a radical truth. Your value as a human being is not defined by what others see, but by how you live. Not by the shape of your body, but by the strength of your character. Seneca once wrote, "Accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together. But do so with all your heart." Acceptance here is not resignation. It is clarity. You cannot change your height, your bone structure, your genetics. But you can change how you eat, how you move, how you speak to yourself. And more importantly, you can choose to stop trading your dignity for a society's shifting standards of beauty. In this session, we're going to explore 5 Stoic questions. 5 guiding lights that can help you step off the treadmill of comparison and build a foundation of confidence that no criticism, no Instagram feed, no mirror can shake. These are not quick hacks. They are not motivational slogans. They are timeless tools used by emperors, philosophers, and ordinary men for centuries to steady the mind and strengthen the spirit. So here's my promise to you. In the next 40 minutes, you'll gain more than words of encouragement. You'll gain a framework, 5 questions that you can return to whenever the old insecurities resurface. Questions that will challenge you, confront you, and ultimately free you. And here's a little secret. The final question, the 5th one, is not just powerful, it's life-changing. It will force you to see your reflection in a way you never have before. So stay with me. By the end, you'll be equipped not just to handle your doubts, but to rise above them with the kind of confidence the Stoics themselves would recognize: calm, steady, and unshakable. Let's be honest. Confidence and body image struggles aren't small issues tucked away in the corners of society. They are front and center, quietly shaping the lives of millions of men. We often imagine insecurity as something that belongs to teenagers or to women under the constant gaze of beauty standards. But men are just as caught in the web, even if they don't talk about it. Recent surveys reveal a sobering truth. Nearly half of men in the UK say they have struggled with their body image. Only 1 in 4 say they're satisfied with how they look. Think about that. 3 out of 4 men walk through life carrying some form of dissatisfaction with their own reflection. And almost 30% admit to feeling anxious about their bodies on a regular basis. Anxious they're too fat, too thin, not muscular enough, not tall enough. For some, these feelings become so unbearable that 1 in 10 men has considered suicide because of appearance-related shame, and 4% have gone so far as to harm themselves physically. These are not just numbers. Behind every percentage point are real people. A father who feels uncomfortable taking his shirt off at the beach with his children. A young man who skips social events because he can't bear the thought of standing next to fitter friends. A professional in his 40s who works long hours but punishes himself with guilt for not looking like the 20-year-olds he sees online. Each of them bears a weight that is invisible to others, but crushing all the same. Where does this pain come from? A major culprit is the media landscape we now inhabit. In the past, you might have compared yourself to neighbors or friends. Today, the comparison pool is infinite. Social media serves up endless images of men with sculpted physiques, glistening abs, and perfect symmetry, often enhanced by lighting, editing, or even surgery. Fitness influencers present themselves as a standard, and every scroll through your feed becomes another reminder of how far you supposedly fall short. The more time you spend online, the more you're fed the illusion that everyone else looks better, stronger, or leaner than you. This creates a toxic loop. You feel inadequate, so you consume more content in search of solutions. The content, in turn, feeds the very insecurities that brought you there. You begin to believe that your worth is tied directly to your physical form, that if only you could achieve a certain body type, confidence would finally arrive. But here's the cruel trick. Even those who make it, who build the six-pack or bulk up their muscles, often discover that the insecurity doesn't vanish. They still compare themselves to someone bigger, leaner, or stronger. The finish line keeps moving, and the sense of never enough persists. Let's step into a relatable scenario. Imagine a man named Daniel, in his late 30s. He works a demanding job, provides for his family, and by most measures is doing well. But every time he looks in the mirror, he sees only flaws. He remembers his college days when he was leaner, fitter, more energetic. Now, despite having a stable life, he feels like a failure because his body doesn't match the ideal he sees plastered across Instagram and TV ads. He starts skipping social events. He pulls away from his spouse. His energy dwindles not because of his actual health, but because of the mental weight of shame. Daniel's story isn't unique. It's the silent story of millions of men. And here's the heartbreaking part. Society doesn't give them much space to talk about it. When women discuss body image, the conversation is often supported. We acknowledge the problem, we encourage acceptance. But when men raise these struggles, they're often met with dismissiveness. Man up, don't be soft. You care too much about looks, so men bottle it up. And the shame grows in silence. This silence has consequences. Low self-confidence affects careers, relationships, and mental health. A man who feels unworthy of respect may hesitate to speak up at work. A man who despises his own body may struggle to connect with his partner. A man who constantly compares himself to others may miss out on opportunities because he believes he isn't good enough. Body image issues are not just about vanity, they are about the erosion of a man's ability to live fully, confidently, and with purpose. The pressure is compounded by another cultural message, that masculinity itself must be proven through physical dominance. The ideal man presented in movies, advertisements, and even video games is tall, muscular, fearless. Real men who are shorter, thinner, heavier, or simply average look in the mirror and feel inadequate. This is not an accident. Billions of dollars flow through industries that profit from your insecurity. Supplements, extreme diets, steroids, cosmetic procedures. The system is designed to keep you chasing, never satisfied, always consuming. But here's the critical truth. This is not you. The number on a scale, the shape of your muscles, the lines on your face, these do not define your value as a man. And deep down, you know it. You know that character matters more than a six-pack. You know that kindness, wisdom, courage, and integrity will outlast youthful looks. You know that your children, your partner, your closest friends care more about your presence and love than about the width of your shoulders. Yet knowing this intellectually doesn't erase the emotional weight. That's why Stoicism matters. Because Stoicism doesn't just remind us of noble ideas. It gives us practices to live them. It helps us separate what is in our control from what is not. It teaches us to honor our dignity, to set boundaries against toxic influences, and to measure ourselves by virtue, not vanity. It shows us that true confidence is not sculpted in the gym or filtered through a lens. It is forged in the daily practice of living well. So here's the question that will guide us as we continue. If the standards of society are shifting illusions, then where do we find something unshakable? The Stoics had an answer, and it wasn't found in mirrors or in likes. It was found in the soul, in the choices you make, in the courage you show, in the virtue you live. When faced with the crisis of self-confidence and body image, it is tempting to look for quick fixes. A new diet plan, a more intense workout regimen, another supplement. But while these may change the body temporarily, they rarely quiet the storm inside. That storm, the feeling of not being enough, the endless cycle of comparison, requires a deeper answer. And that answer, surprisingly, comes from voices nearly 2,000 years old. Stoicism was born in the busy streets of Athens and later matured in the halls of Rome. It was not a philosophy reserved for scholars alone. It was built for ordinary people navigating daily struggles, soldiers, merchants, rulers, and slaves. What made Stoicism powerful then is exactly what makes it powerful now. Its focus on what is within our control, and its refusal to let outside illusions dictate inner worth. Epictetus, born a slave, understood better than most what it meant to live under conditions you cannot control. He taught that some things are up to us and some things are not. Your height, not up to you. The structure of your bones, not up to you. The shifting standards of beauty broadcast by society, absolutely not up to you. But your choices, what you eat, how you move, what you say to yourself, how you live each day, those are yours. And if you learn to focus on what you can control, you begin to reclaim freedom from the anxiety of comparison. Seneca echoed this wisdom. He reminded us that acceptance is not weakness but clarity. A man who suffers before it is necessary suffers more than necessary. He wrote, "How many times do we suffer in advance by rehearsing our flaws in the mirror, imagining rejection that hasn't yet happened, or replaying insults that may never come?" Stoicism trains us to drop this unnecessary suffering and to meet reality as it is, not as fear paints it. Marcus Aurelius, an emperor who could have surrounded himself with luxury and flattery, still had to remind himself daily not to be carried away by illusions of power, beauty, or approval. In his meditations he wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This truth applies just as directly to modern men staring into mirrors as it did to a ruler staring into the chaos of empire. Here is the key. Stoicism does not tell us to despise the body. On the contrary, the Stoics saw caring for the body as a duty. It is the vessel through which we act in the world. It deserves exercise, nourishment, and rest. But the Stoics drew a sharp line between caring for the body and worshipping the body. To care for it is wisdom. To idolize it is slavery. And isn't that exactly where so many men find themselves today? Slaves to the gym mirror, slaves to calorie counts, slaves to comparisons with men who are often edited, enhanced, or supported by resources far beyond the reach of ordinary life. Stoicism breaks those chains. It says, do what is right for health, for strength, for function, but refuse to measure your worth by the impossible illusions of society. Think of it this way. Imagine two men. One has the perfect physique, but is consumed by insecurity, checking his reflection every hour, terrified of losing his image. The other has an ordinary build, but carries himself with quiet confidence, showing kindness to others, steady in his work, dependable in his friendships. Which man would you rather be? Which man do you truly respect? The Stoics would say the second, without hesitation, because his confidence is anchored in virtue, not vanity. Stoicism becomes the antidote to body image struggles by giving us a new measuring stick. Instead of asking, do I look good enough? We begin to ask, am I living well enough? Instead of comparing bodies, we compare actions. Instead of obsessing over what others might think of our appearance, we focus on whether our character reflects wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. This shift is liberating, because while appearance will always change, muscles fade, hair grays, skin wrinkles, virtue endures. No wrinkle can erase wisdom. No sagging muscle can diminish courage. No fading hairline can strip away justice. If we live by these principles, our confidence is no longer at the mercy of time or society. It becomes unshakable because it is built on something permanent. So here's the bridge into the heart of this conversation. Stoicism provides the framework, but we still need practical tools to apply it. That's where the 5 Stoic questions come in. These questions act like stepping stones, guiding you from insecurity to strength, from comparison to clarity. They begin with the basics, asking what is truly within your control, and they rise step by step toward the deepest realization of all, that life is too short to waste on illusions. Stay with me, because once you learn these questions, you'll have a compass you can carry into every mirror, every social encounter, every insecure moment. And with that compass, you will not just endure the storm of body image pressure, you will rise above it. Stand in front of the mirror for a moment. What do you see? For many men, the first answer isn't strength or gratitude, it's criticism. The stomach is too soft, the chest isn't wide enough, the jawline isn't sharp. And so begins the spiral of thoughts. If only I looked different, then I would feel confident. If only I had his body, then I would be respected. This is where the Stoics step in with their first, most practical question. What is truly in my control? Epictetus, who lived his early life as a slave, taught that some things are within our control and some are not. To confuse the two is to guarantee misery. Yet every day, men torment themselves over the uncontrollable. Height, bone structure, genetic predispositions, the relentless standards pumped out by advertising and social media. None of these bend to your will. Yet how much of your energy has been drained chasing them? What is in your control is something far simpler, though not always easy. How you choose to move your body, how you feed it, how you rest it, how you speak to yourself when you look in the mirror. These are the levers you can actually pull. These are the domains where discipline bears fruit. Imagine walking in the rain. You cannot command the storm to stop. You cannot order the clouds to part. But you can decide to carry an umbrella. You can choose to find shelter. You can accept the weather as it is while still acting wisely within it. In the same way, you cannot erase society's illusions of the perfect body, but you can choose how much you expose yourself to them, how you respond when you encounter them, and what standard you set for yourself. This question forces clarity. Each time you hear that inner critic, pause and ask, is this within my control? If the answer is no, release it. If the answer is yes, act with purpose. Over time, this simple filter becomes a shield. The noise of comparison will still be there, but it no longer governs you. Confidence is not built by mastering everything. It is built by focusing on what is yours to command. And when you learn to do that, you take the first step away from insecurity and toward freedom. One of the most silent ways insecurity corrodes our lives is by eating away at dignity. And it rarely happens in dramatic moments. It's in the little concessions, the quiet betrayals of self-respect that add up over time. Think back to the last time someone made a comment about your body. Maybe it was framed as a joke. Getting a bit soft around the middle, aren't you? Maybe it was blunt. You should hit the gym more. What did you do? Did you laugh along, even though it stung? Did you stay silent, telling yourself it wasn't worth the argument? In that moment, the Stoics would say you didn't just let someone else disrespect you. You disrespected yourself. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you respect yourself, you will be respected." The point isn't that people will always treat you well if you carry yourself with dignity. The point is that your own behavior sets the standard. When you allow mockery or belittlement to pass without acknowledgement, you quietly signal that your dignity is negotiable. Respecting your dignity doesn't mean puffing out your chest or throwing punches. It doesn't mean arrogance. It means calmly refusing to participate in your own diminishment. It means speaking with clarity when someone crosses the line. It means telling yourself, in no uncertain terms, I am not here to be reduced. This is where true confidence begins. Because confidence is not about convincing the world you're flawless. It's about refusing to betray yourself in pursuit of approval. The insecure man seeks laughter or validation at his own expense. The stoic man seeks alignment with his principles, regardless of whether it earns applause. Imagine two responses to the same insult. In the first, you make a self-deprecating joke, and everyone laughs. Outwardly, the moment passes. Inwardly, you walk away a little smaller. In the second, you calmly say, I don't appreciate being spoken to that way. Maybe the room goes quiet. Maybe the other person shrugs it off. But inwardly, you walk away taller. The dignity is not in their reaction. The dignity is in your refusal to shrink. So the question you must ask yourself is, am I respecting my dignity? If the answer is no, you already know the cost. It's the slow erosion of self-worth, the hollowing out of confidence. If the answer is yes, then you are already building something unshakable, a foundation that no insult, no comparison, no passing comment can crack. Respect for yourself is not a luxury. It is the soil in which real confidence grows. Without it, every achievement feels fragile. With it, even the most ordinary man carries himself with quiet strength. Peace is a fragile thing. You don't always notice when it's slipping away. It's not usually stolen in one loud, dramatic moment. More often, it leaks slowly, almost invisibly, through small daily choices, the endless scroll on your phone, the quiet comparisons, the comments you absorb without protest. Before long, you realize your mind is crowded, restless, unable to find stillness. This is why boundaries matter. They are not punishments. They are not about controlling other people. They are about protecting your inner life from being invaded and consumed. In Stoic terms, they are the practical application of temperance, the discipline of balance. Think about social media. You open an app for 5 minutes, and suddenly you've spent half an hour looking at bodies sculpted to perfection, enhanced by lighting, filters, and sometimes even surgery. Do you feel inspired, or do you feel smaller? If you're honest, often it's the second. Without boundaries, you keep exposing yourself to poison, telling yourself you can handle it. But your piece says otherwise. A boundary might be as simple as unfollowing accounts that trigger insecurity, or deciding not to check your phone an hour before bed, or telling yourself, "I will not weigh myself more than once a week." These aren't rules meant to restrict you. They are lines drawn to protect what matters, your ability to live with calm and clarity. The Stoics practiced a kind of journaling, writing down what had disturbed them each day and examining it. You can do the same with your boundaries. At night, ask yourself, where did I lose peace today? What could I have done differently? What boundary would have protected me? Write it down. Over time, you'll see patterns, and those patterns will show you exactly where to place your guardrails. Boundaries also apply in conversations. When someone speaks to you with disrespect, your peace is on the line. You can either absorb it silently, or you can calmly end the interaction. I will not continue this conversation while being insulted. That is a boundary. It doesn't control the other person. They may continue, but it controls you. You have chosen not to let your peace be eroded further. Ask yourself honestly, what boundaries protect my peace? If you don't know the answer, start small. One boundary, one act of protection. Notice the difference it makes, because once you taste the calm that boundaries bring, you will understand why the Stoics valued temperance so deeply. It's not about being rigid. It's about keeping your inner life intact in a world that constantly tries to break it apart. Peace isn't accidental. It is chosen, preserved, and guarded. And boundaries are the tools that make that possible. Every man who steps into the gym, counts his calories, or buys another supplement should pause to ask this simple but piercing question. Does this pursuit align with virtue? On the surface, it seems harmless. What could be wrong with wanting to look better, to build muscle, to lose fat? Nothing, if the pursuit is rooted in health, discipline, and balance. But the line between health and obsession is thin. And when crossed, what once began as self-care can quickly turn into self-slavery. The Stoics measured all of life against four virtues: wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. These were not abstract ideals. They were practical guideposts, and any pursuit, whether wealth, status, or in this case, physique, had to answer to them. Wisdom asks, are you seeing reality clearly? Or have you been blinded by illusions of perfection crafted by media and filters? Courage asks, are you facing discomfort for growth? Or are you running from deeper insecurities? Justice asks, are you being fair to yourself, to your family, to your body? Or are you sacrificing everything at the altar of appearance? Temperance asks, are you balanced? Or are you consumed by extremes of diet, training, and comparison? Think of the man who pushes his body with steroids, not for health, but for validation. Outwardly, he looks powerful. Inwardly, he is enslaved. His pursuit does not align with virtue. It aligns with fear. Now think of another man who trains regularly, eats well, but keeps balance. He lifts not only for himself, but so he can play with his children, work with energy, and age with dignity. His pursuit aligns with virtue. His body serves his life, not the other way round. Seneca once wrote, associate with those who will make you a better man. The same applies to pursuits. If chasing a certain body type makes you smaller, more anxious, more insecure, less present, it is not making you a better man. If it makes you stronger in character, calmer in spirit, more useful to others, then it passes the Stoic test. So the question is not whether you should care for your body. Of course you should. The Stoics did. The question is why. Are you training to embody virtue, discipline, balance, justice? Or are you training to win the fleeting approval of strangers? Ask yourself each time you step into the gym or stand on the scale, does this pursuit align with virtue? If the answer is yes, continue with confidence. If the answer is no, step back and redirect. Because a pursuit without virtue may change your body, but it will never heal your soul. The final Stoic question is the sharpest, the one that cuts through every excuse and illusion. If today were my last, would I care about this flaw? Marcus Aurelius reminded himself each morning, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. This practice of memento mori, remembering death, was not meant to depress, but to clarify. When you keep mortality in view, everything trivial falls away, and what is essential stands clear. Think about the body image struggles that consume you. The soft belly, the receding hairline, the wrinkles forming at the corners of your eyes, the shoulders you wish were broader. If this were your final day on earth, would these details matter? Would you spend your last hours standing in front of a mirror, criticizing yourself? Or would you want to laugh with your children, share one last meal with friends, hold the hand of someone you love? When seen through the lens of mortality, most insecurities collapse under their own weight. Because the truth is, no one will remember you for the extra pounds you carried or the lack of muscle on your arms. They will remember the way you lived, the way you treated them, the strength of your presence, the kindness of your words. This question shocks you out of illusion. It reminds you that life is too short to waste on hating your reflection, too short to waste on endless comparison, too short to hand over peace of mind to people who don't even know your name. But here's the paradox. When you accept this truth, you actually begin to live more fully. You start to care for your body not out of vanity, but out of gratitude. You train, not to impress, but to strengthen. You eat well, not to punish, but to nourish. You live as if each day could be the last, and that makes each day infinitely more precious. Ask yourself honestly, if today were my last, would I care about this flaw? If the answer is no, and most of the time it will be, then why care so much today? Why give away your peace for something that would vanish in the face of mortality? The Stoics weren't against beauty, strength, or health. They simply reminded us not to mistake them for life's ultimate measure. Life is measured by virtue, by love, by presence. And when you remember death, you remember to live by what truly lasts. So let this question stay with you. Whisper it to yourself the next time you stand in front of the mirror, the next time comparison creeps in. If today were my last, would this really matter? Let the answer free you. We've walked together through 5 Stoic questions, 5 stepping stones out of the quicksand of insecurity and body image obsession. Each question is simple, each one is practical, and yet taken seriously. They have the power to rebuild your confidence from the inside out. The first question, what is truly in my control, reminds you to stop fighting battles you can never win. You can't change your height, your bone structure, or society's illusions of perfection. But you can change your choices. You can strengthen your body, sharpen your habits, and discipline your mind. That is where freedom begins. The second question, am I respecting my dignity, calls you back to self-respect. Every time you allow yourself to be diminished, every time you laugh at your own expense or swallow words you should have spoken, you chip away at your worth. But when you honor your dignity, calmly, steadily, you build confidence that no insult can touch. The third question, what boundaries protect my peace, reminds you that peace is not accidental. It is guarded, it is chosen, and boundaries, whether with social media, with body checking, or with conversations that cross the line, are the tools that protect it. Without boundaries, you are exposed to every storm. With them, you stand firm. The fourth question, does this pursuit align with virtue, forces you to look deeper at your motives? If your pursuit of fitness makes you wiser, stronger, fairer, and more balanced, then it aligns with Stoicism. But if it enslaves you to vanity, fear, or obsession, then it betrays you. Virtue is the only standard that endures when muscles fade and appearances change. And finally, the fifth question: if today were my last, would I care about this flaw? This is the ultimate perspective. Life is fragile, time is short, and when you place death beside your insecurities, you see how small they truly are. What matters is not the perfection of your reflection, but the presence of your soul, the way you live, love, and act together. These questions form a compass. With them, you don't have to be tossed about by every image, every standard, every passing judgment. You have direction, you have a framework, and most importantly, you have freedom. But here's the thing: knowing these questions is not enough. Confidence is not built by listening. It is built by practice, by pausing the next time you feel inadequate and asking, what is truly in my control? By speaking up the next time your dignity is challenged. By drawing a line the next time your peace is threatened. By testing your pursuits against virtue. By remembering that life is too short to waste on illusions. So let me challenge you. Choose one of these questions and carry it with you this week. Write it on a card, put it on your phone, whisper it to yourself when insecurity creeps in. Use it. Because the power of Stoicism is not in theory, but in practice. And if you found value in this journey, if you felt the clarity, the strength, the relief these questions bring, then I invite you to stay with us. Here at StoicCraft, we're building more than a channel. We're building a community of people who refuse to be defined by illusions. A community committed to dignity, to peace, to virtue, to living fully and freely. Subscribe. Let's continue this path together. Because the world will always offer new illusions, new standards, new reasons to feel inadequate. But armed with Stoicism, you will always have the tools to rise above them. Your body will change. Your appearance will fade. But your character, your choices, your virtues, your dignity, these are yours forever. And they are more than enough.